Hey everybody, welcome back to the Carryandcut YouTube channel. If you're new here, I really do appreciate you stopping by and watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, also leave a comment down below. It really does help out the channel, and I love interacting with everybody out there and answer your guys' questions. So today I have something really special, something I would never thought that I would ever see on this channel. So as you're looking at the box right here, this is a Herman knife. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge shout out to Steven and his little man Dom for sending us over to the channel to take a look at. I never thought in a million years I would actually be able to experience a knife of this caliber, I guess you could say. And it's just really fascinating to see, what you can get into the knife community or your knife collecting hobby, and how, I guess you could say, how much you can actually spend. And this higher echelon, high end part of the knife world is just crazy to me. So it's pretty cool to be able to look into that side of things. I know I personally don't have the ability to get one of these at this point in time for sure, but it is just really awesome to be able to see one of these. So Stephen, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get right onto this thing. So we got a Herman knife here. Right off the bat, I've already looked at this knife, so it's not going to be, of course, you guys probably seen on the unboxing video I did of the Blade Show Texas haul that he sent over. But the overall presentation of this thing is super nice. So let's go ahead and look at this thing. Certificate of authenticity. This is the Sting. Serial number 597. Blade is M398 to 62 to 63 HRC, which is really something. That M398 is some really special knife steel in general. So titanium, we have grade 5 DLC, backspacer, same thing, grade 5 DLC. The clip is DLC and the blade's even DLC coated at the same time. So this is a murdered out knife. Really cool to see. Got your Herman knives, Polish custom knife. Yeah, Hank right there, cleaning cloth. There is the Herman Sting. I don't know if that's lasered in there or whatever it is. Let's get the meat and potatoes of this thing. Okay, here we go. So this is the Herman Sting itself. I really do like that they actually put this little custom tool in there. That is really exciting to me. There is minimal hardware going on this thing too at the same time. We'll go ahead and get on into that. And then they also does come with some protector glide for the Herman. I'm assuming this is going to be for like the bearings and stuff like that. They obviously want you to take this thing apart. They want you to take care of it. They wouldn't give you these tools if they didn't want you to do so. So let's set this thing off to the side and actually get into looking at this knife right here. Okay, so right out of the bat, the hopefully you guys can catch. It's kind of that Herman Ting, they call it. I always seen it on Metal Complex's videos. He would talk about these and rant and rave about these Hermans and the acoustics they would make. He said it almost sounded like a tuning fork or something like that. The furnace is running in the background, so you guys might not be able to hear it that perfect, but the overall fit and finish of this thing is just mind-blowing to me. Let's go ahead and get a couple beauty shots of this thing. I really do love this DLC finish they put on this knife right here. It is just incredible. It is going to be somewhat of a fingerprint magnet though, but I can definitely understand why Steven loves this thing, and it is his pride and joy, I guess you could say, of his knife world. He actually did say that he's going to get another one too, so that is super awesome. Happy for you, Steven. I just really appreciate you sending this over for me to take a look at, because there's no way I would actually be able to see anything like this if it wasn't for you, I guess you could say. So we do have a super nice drop point blade shape on this thing, which is kind of crazy because Steven is not a drop point guy whatsoever. It almost reminds me of something like what the Atom blade shape kind of looks similar to. Like, not blade shape, but overall, size, dimensions, what the knife looks like. How it just kind of really drops down right there. It's kind of similar, not really. I guess the flipper kind of holds it up, but if the flipper wouldn't have been there on the Herman, it'd kind of follow those same sort of lines. So it's just a pocket knifey look, I guess you should say. Nobody's copying anybody, but it's just a super useful, great blade shape, and also handle feeling. So I know this is a lefty. I'm not a lefty, at all, but this is super easy for me to use. I even carried this knife for a couple days, and I even used it in the left pocket, and I didn't have any issues whatsoever. Like I said, we do have DLC coated everywhere on the actual knife, everywhere. I really do like this pocket clip, how long it is. It's super easy in and out of the pocket. We do have caged bearings on this thing. This is of course, a liner lock on the inside. I wonder if that is a titanium liner lock. See if I can find a magnet of some sort. Look through the old little knife bin. Kind of all over the place today. Okay, so we do. This is a titanium liner lock everywhere. Of course, steel is the hardware titanium too. I think the titanium, the steel is going to be the only thing. Is going to be the blade, obviously, and then the yeah, the pocket clip screws are even titanium. So just the blade and the pivot is going to be steel. So really, really exciting on that one. I really want to know what these pins are for right here. I wonder if they're just kind of like alignment pins or something like that, just keeping everything somewhat lined up. I'm not too sure, but we're definitely going to do a disassembly on this thing and see what makes this thing tick. I'm thinking it must have something to do with the liner lock right there. It looks like it's obviously it's inside the titanium handle right there. Well, that's pretty cool. On the inside and the back of the backspacer says proudly made in Poland. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see that in the actual video right here, but when we do a disassembly of this thing, you'll actually be able to see what's going on the inside. I do like this orange peel texture they have going on here on the titanium backspacer. It's the same finish that's going to be on the clip right here. It's just these little touches that make, this knife, second to none in the actual pocket knife world. It's just, there's a whole bunch going on here. The same texturing going on here up towards where the bolster, I guess, would be. Of course, there's no bolster on this knife whatsoever, but in the show side, it is just a beautiful work of art, and that's what this knife is to me. I wouldn't carry this thing every day. This would just be something I would sit in the knife collection and just be able to enjoy and look at, if you know what I'm saying. So I don't know what the price tag on this thing is. I know that it's extremely expensive, and you could probably buy 4 shamans for the price of this one right here. So it's definitely not going to be for everybody, but it is really exciting for me to take a look at. So let's go ahead and get some general weights and sizes and stuff like that out of the way. All right, zero the scale out. We are at 3.8 ounces, so pretty good right there. Let's look at overall size. How do we want to do this? I'm typically going to do it this way. All right, so from the tip to the end of the knife, we're almost at 7 7/8 right there. We're getting just about 3.5 inches of actual blade length here. Sharpened edge is going to be right under 3.5 inches. It's a little more than 3 1/4, 3 1/3, however you want to say it. We're really getting close to that 3.5 inch actual blade length though, or at least getting close to it. Right there, we're pretty much 3 1/4. If you want to look at it that way, it depends on how you're holding the level on how you're holding the roller onto the actual knife itself. And then we got 4.5 inches of handle. So yeah, right around that 7 3/4 inch ratio. So pretty good there for the being, what did I say, 3.8 ounces, I think that's what it was. That ain't right. Zero wasn't zeroed out. I'm still kind of geeking out on this knife in general. Man, my zero out feature is not wanting to work on the old Miss Carryandcut kitchen scale. I think it's going to be time to get rid of this thing and get a new one, because it does not want to go off 0.8. Oh, there you go. 3.8. So we're a little bit over our, whatever you want to call it, ounce per inch, or whatever people like to say that their knives or what they like them as. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into blade stock thickness and behind the edge thickness. I know this is a pretty thin blade stock and the M398. So we're at, what is that? Yeah, 126,000. So definitely very thin, very slicey. It comes down to a really nice fine tip at the point at the tip. And of course, these are, like I said, handmade in Poland, Polish custom knives. Let's see if I can get that real thin behind the edge. 26 thousandths. Yeah, there's 23. So extremely thin behind the edge, and this thing is a monster. It is a super slicer, very sharp. I really do like the sharpening choil plunge grind they have going on there. You're gonna definitely be able to get a couple sharpenings on this thing before you get any sort of smiles or anything like that going on the actual blade. He must have sharpened this himself because he likes to put these really, nice polished edges on his knives. Just gives a nice little pop, nice little touch. The M398 blade steel, at least from what I haven't done a whole lot of information on it, or at least looking at a whole lot of information on it, but I know it's really high up there in edge retention. You're getting close to your whatever you want to call it, your 15V and those really high, hardness tool steels and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure this actually is a stainless steel, but it does have the DLC coating on there to give it even more, strength and stuff like that. And one thing I'm noticing right here, I like how they actually put the where they sandwich the knife together through the backspacer. They put it under the clip right there, so that just gives you another little added bit of refinement. You're actually not seeing any sort of handle or hardware whatsoever other than the pivot because it's hidden underneath the clip, or other than the clip hardware right there. But that is just a really cool, nice little touch and something you don't see all the time. And I don't think I've actually ever seen that. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of a size comparison here up against the TRM Atom. Just showed that one here. How about let's go with the MSI. So definitely a shade bit smaller than the MSI, and a little bit smaller than the Atom right there. How about up against the Hinder Eclipse? So a little bit smaller yet than that one. How about the Ferrum Forge Aluris? That's a pretty good overall size comparison there. If you guys have seen one of these ones before. And how about we get into? We'll do two more. Get them out of the knife pouch here. Up against the Spyderco PM2. And then how about the Spyderco Pair 3? All right, so we are definitely sandwiched right in the middle of those two right there. That is a pretty good size comparison of some knives that a lot of people do know and love and see all the time. So I know I'm kind of bouncing all around and kind of all over the place on this knife. I'm still kind of starstruck that I've even have this thing in my possession, I'm able to take a look at. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. Hopefully my rambling and antics didn't bother you guys too much. I know all over the place, but still, this is an incredible knife. Like I said, I'm not sure of the price tag on this thing, but I do know it is probably more than probably almost a mortgage payment for some people. So it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you ever have the experience to be able to handle one of these things, I would go ahead and do it. It is really exciting, exciting thing, and a lot of people really geek out over this stuff. So Steven, want to give a huge shout out to you. Dom, keep your dad in check over there, and we will see you guys on the next one. Hopefully, we'll be doing this assembly on this thing. So appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.